All right, and this is a new episode of the Future Proof You podcast for Working Dad, and I've got an Australian dad online. I've got Mike Warren from Perth. How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, I'm great, Julian. How are you? Good to have a fellow Aussie or someone from the southern hemisphere to chat to.
Yes, I'm an adopted Aussie, 15 years.
Absolutely.
I found Mike on LinkedIn, and at some stage he dropped that he had a tribe, more than a family, a tribe. And so we were talking about Ali, Charlie, Fletch, Eli, Cooper, Ava, and I'm like, oh my God, he's got a tribe. He's running his own business. Okay, of course he has to be on the podcast. So do you want to introduce us to your family, your tribe, and introduce us to what you do when you're not with your family?
Absolutely. So firstly, thanks for letting me join you today. So I've got a beautiful wife, Ali, who I've been married to for about 15 years. And she's my second wife. To my first wife, I had 3 children. So that's Charlie, Fletcher, and Eli. So Charlie's 22, Fletcher's 21, and Eli's 20. So they're growing up big kids. So I've had the 3 kids grow up and gone through that process, and then done it all again with Ali. And we have Cooper and Ava. Cooper is 10 and Ava is 7. So yeah, so certainly understand the dad thing, and been one of the lucky ones to be able to do this 5 times and have a second crack and hopefully get it right this time.
Hopefully get it right. Well, how old were you the first time around?
I guess I must have been in my early 30s when I firstly got married and had kids, and so I was maybe like a lot of the guys listening, sort of jumped into fatherhood with no real understanding of what was involved. And I can look back now and honestly say I probably wasn't the best father and made some mistakes. And so, fingers crossed, second time round you can sort of do things a little bit better and a bit more in line with your heart and soul.
Yes, I agree with that. And at what stage did you decide to find a balance or find the harmony between your family and then your career or your business?
So that's a good question, because I think a lot of I'm not sure I could put my hand on my heart and say I've found the balance. I think I'm striving, like a lot of the guys probably tuning in, striving for the balance, and I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure when we can actually put our hand up and say we've absolutely found the balance. We've got it right. I think it's an evolving journey, but certainly about 4 or 5 years ago, I did draw a line in the sand and say, right, had enough. It's time to refocus on what are the priorities in life. I'm now 54, and so I've got a young family in my 50s. And I wanted to make sure that I was the dad that I wanted to be for the kids as they grew through their formation years and into their teenage years. And so I had to make a decision around that.
And was there a trigger you felt, or was it an ongoing?
Sorry, say again, Julian.
Was there a trigger toward thriving for that balance, or is that something you came to realize step by step, really?
I guess I had a trigger that was a work-related trigger. I was in the job I had, or the career I had. I've always been self-employed, but about 5 years ago, I was at the peak of my self-employment. I had a business that was a global business. We had an office in Singapore, an office in the UK, an office in Australia, and I was traveling a lot. And I found myself in a space and a place, probably like a lot of guys maybe tuning in, where work becomes the number one priority, and you can justify that you're doing it for the family and you're providing and you're making money for the future and you're doing all the right things with the right intent for your partner and your family. But in reality, I was just living the high life. I was eating, drinking, traveling, loving my career life, but being a very absent dad. And that was when I had the realization, the trigger you talk about.
Wow, that's super powerful. And so, all right, so let's get into it. What secret weapons did you find to react to that trigger?
So going back 5 years, my business, my life has always been in the fitness and wellness business. So I should know this stuff. I kind of slap myself daily to go, you know what, you let yourself go. It's like the plumber with the with the leaky faucet. It's sort of you're good with other people and you can educate other people, but at home, it's getting the right balance is probably the tough bit. So being in my younger years, I owned a bunch of health clubs and I was in the fitness industry and I did a lot of wellness coaching. And then my career moved away from that and I got into a business that took me away from looking after my body. And that's when I started to do the drinking and do the eating. And I would suggest that I was an absolutely high-performing alcoholic about 5 years ago. I remember high-performing insofar as I ran a global consultancy. So I had to look after clients globally. I had to turn up for work. But just as an indication of how bad things were, I would start most days with a frozen vodka shot. And that was the start of my day. I'd put it in the freezer at night before I went to bed. I wake up in the morning.
Was involved.
Oh, the planning was there. I'm a high performer, Julian. So I used to plan with the put the vodka in the freezer, wake up in the morning and have a vodka shot to start the day. And then because my work is fairly flexible and I work from home a lot, and I was looking after a global business but based in the office, I could have several beers, regularly. And so I got into the habit of eating and drinking all day long, then going out to restaurants at night. I put on about 15, 20 kilos, which for those overseas is around 30 to 40 pounds. So I became this fat, lazy, drunken, high-performing entrepreneur and really moved away from my values. And so, when I realized that and when my wife and my kids were becoming distant memories, I then drew a line in the sand and said, right, we need to fix this. And so I guess that's when we talk about the secret formula is probably not so secret, but I figured that if I'm going to help others, I need to help myself first. I spent 2 years literally getting my shit together. It's an Australian expression for making sure you're doing the right thing, and really focusing on food, movement, and sleep, and getting my mindset in the right place to support that. And that was a 2-year journey to get myself into a healthy space and place. And at the end of the 2 years, I'd lost 15, 20 kilos. I was eating well, I was sleeping well, and essentially I was ready to help others. And that's when Ditch the Dad Bod, the concept of Ditch the Dad Bod came into play. And that was, I guess, born from a very good friend of mine who at a barbecue said to me, you're in great shape and we've seen you over the last couple of years get in great shape from, a few years back where you were overweight and deconditioned. Can you help me? And up until that point, I'd very much I'd had a solo journey. I'd kind of done it. I'm a very disciplined person. I'd done it, but I hadn't really thought of helping anybody in a formal sense. My mindset was very much, if you're ready to get in shape, you will approach someone, you'll do it yourself. And I've since realized there's a lot of guys out there who get to an age and stage in their life and get caught up in their career, and their wellness becomes less of a priority, and they do need help to get results.
I agree. And what's comforting about your story is you were in a well-being business before, right? And then you slipped. So it means even the one with the right tools and the right knowledge, they can sleep, right? And then we can go back on it by ourselves, but it takes longer, like you said, 2 years, or with the help of someone. And I think that's what you're pointing out.
And I think the key thing is here, the group that we've started, Ditch the Dad Bod, is a group for guys who are usually over 40, very likely to be dads with kids and careers. And so they have a priority at the moment that's probably focused more on their career with the mindset that they're doing the right thing for their family. Now, what we know is a lot of these guys won't reach out because guys tend not to talk, not to chat. They do believe that in their heart and mind that things will be okay and their wellness will be okay and they won't have a health intervention. They won't slip. And so they tend to just tick along without making major changes. And so what we've realized with the group is that guys, like girls, do need to talk. We talk in a different way. We have a very different outpouring, but we do need a space and place to share our concerns, where we're comfortable expressing what our problems are, and where we can get good information and good guidance on the things that are important to us that we can't discuss with our wives and with our families.
Definitely. Because when we start chatting and when we start exchanging a bit further than just sport, but about our body, about our kids, about our wife, we realize, well, we're not so different from each other, right? It's not just us.
It's exactly right. And a lot of I see this amazing trend in the group when one of the guys joins the group. There's a bit of silence for the first couple of weeks. A lot of lady groups, and I've been involved in Facebook groups for a long time, and you see a lot of groups where the ladies jump in there and immediately they start chatting, because that's their behavioural style. They can comfortably chat. They introduce themselves and they start talking, and that's great. That's their thing. But for a lot of guys, we kind of stand back and we watch and we wait. And then when we're comfortable, we may introduce ourselves or may comment on a post, and then very slowly, like a guy-to-guy friendship, there becomes a bit of trust, and then we're comfortable interacting, and then it's like standing around the barbecue. There's a silence as we gaze at the meat being cooked, and then the conversation generally starts, and then within 10 minutes, everyone's chatting and they're starting to share, but it does take a bit of time for the guys to get comfortable before they start talking.
It's funny you say that, because I've started a group, like the Future Proof You group for working dads, and I've got about 40 dads in there, and it's very quiet at the beginning when everyone joins. Yes. It's exactly right. I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's you're right. It's a different mindset. Okay, so you said, so your first step was to look after yourself from a well-being perspective. So what do you mean? Are we just talking physical exercise, or is there what's in here?
So I guess one of the good things is I've got a really strong background in fitness, nutrition, personal training. So that's kind of my background from years ago. So it was it was great to be able to apply all my knowledge from being in the fitness industry, in the wellness industry, to this new project. And what we've kind of boiled it down to, and is really 3 key areas that we concentrate on in the group, because I know that if a guy over 40 focuses on these 3 key areas, they will ditch their dad bod, they will get in shape, they will feel great, and they'll live a long, healthy life surrounded by their family and friends. So we focus on food, movement, sleep, and then the mindset to make sure that you're successful. So the food, first of all. So we don't prescribe a diet. I'm a diehard keto fan and a carnivore fan. That's my thing. We have a lot of guys in the group who just get rid of the stuff in their diet that's killing them, the sugar, the carbohydrates. They just have a clean diet. They don't necessarily want to follow a prescribed diet. So we look at the food and we provide advice and guidance on coaching on how to clean up your diet. Then the second thing we look at is movement. So movement is essentially exercise, but it doesn't mean going to the gym. It doesn't mean running, cycling, swimming. It means choosing a style of exercise or movement that suits your body, your budget, your time, so you can do something in the movement space every day. So food, movement, and then the last one, which is a really, really, really important one, is sleep. And the reason it's so important is because most guys tend to think that going to bed, lying horizontal for a few hours is doing sleep right. And as you know, and as a lot of people now know, the research into the importance of sleep, both in wellness, weight loss, mental health, it's overpowering to say that sleep is a critical factor in making sure your body's in the right place. So we do a lot of work in re-educating the guys and helping the guys understand the importance of the quality and the quantity of their sleep and getting that right. So food, movement, sleep, which is the key things. Then obviously the mindset, which, just to motivate yourself through those 3 key areas. So
I mean, for sleep, I think there's a great book from Matthew Walker, like Why We Sleep, and it goes through explaining why we need to sleep. And I think for the guys, it works really well when we get the why. It's like, oh, okay, that's what happens when you sleep properly, like quantity and quality. And but it takes work. it takes work to get the right amount and the right quality of sleep.
It really does, and unfortunately, a lot of people firstly don't understand what is quality sleep. So that it's understanding the REM sleep, the light sleep, the deep sleep, the elements of sleep. Then the type of sleep environment, the dark, the quiet, the cool, no lights, all those type of things. There's a whole bunch of work to be done, but when you get it right, it is that secret key to wellness is getting the right amount of sleep. Just boosts everything else. So it is a critical factor.
It's funny because when in my old life when I was in corporate and I was so busy, I was just chilling. I was like, okay, I need to get that sleep. So here is a sleeping tablet, and up I'll get to sleep. And then I had to fight to let go the sleeping tablet. Like it was super hard. But what a feeling when finally put in place all my sleeping routine through. Being in the dark, ditching the screen, starting to read, having aromatherapy, and he's always following the same time. And all of this, it was like, wow, that's it just made a huge change.
It does. It's we have so many of the guys in the group. One guy in particular, I'm working with a guy in the States who's grossly obese. He's had major problems, and the key to his weight loss, he's struggled. He's had surgery for his obesity. He's now been in the group for the last probably 6 or 7 weeks. We've been going through an exercise program, a food program, but the key for him was his sleep. So the moment that we got his sleep on track, he started to lose weight again. He started to have his mental health issues started to resolve, his energy resolved. So for him was the key, but it was something that was so far away from his mind that he didn't think that sleep had anywhere near the importance. So a lot of guys out there do find this awakening when they get their sleep sorted.
And so, what happens afterwards? So you talked about food, movement, sleep, and then you said mindset. So what happens with all the dad you work with when they've got the right nutrition, they're moving right, they've got the right quantity and quality of sleep, they're building that mindset? What's then the link with the family and their career or the business?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the link for me was getting me in shape so I could be a better dad, a better partner. I work from home, so it was giving me the balance and time to spend with the kids. So my personal selfish link was finding a better way to connect to my kids and my wife, and especially kids, I guess, when they're in their younger formation stage. I get to take them to school, I get to work from home. So for me, the being a better dad was all around being physically better, being mentally better, having a better mindset around being a better dad. So that was my piece. And when I started the group, it was really about getting the guys in shape. But what we found, which is the dad link, is that the guys are now reporting back that because they're in better shape, they can engage with their kids, they can play sport, they can run, cycle, swim with their kids, they can be a better, more active dad, they've got more energy, their mind is in a better place. Interestingly, a lot of them reporting back that because their body, their wellness has improved, their performance at work has improved, and their careers are improving, which takes the stress off, and they can now relax and be more in the zone when they're at home. They're not worried so much about work because they're actually performing. So being physically in better shape has improved their career performance, which has enabled them to be in a better shape for their wife and their family and their kids. So there's a whole bunch of wins that we're getting out of getting the guys in shape is the priority. And we know that you cannot be a great dad, you cannot be a great partner if you don't look after yourself. You got to love yourself first, as we all know. Love yourself first, get yourself where you need to be, then you can give that love to your kids, give that love to your partner. And that's the priority. You got to be in that right shape first. And so that's the focus. But all the knock-on effect is we're getting some great dads and great husbands out of this because they're feeling fantastic about their life.
I'm writing that down, Mike. Because this is exactly like the message of that podcast, right? It's like you future-proof you future-proof your family, then you future-proof your business, and in that order. You cannot start with the business. You cannot start with the family. It starts with you. And for me, it does feel that doing it with your body is it sounds hard, but at the same time, it's kind of the easiest in the sense that you get quick feedback as well. I mean, you start losing kilos, you've got that positive flow, positive energy going through your mind. I mean, it's a natural step. So, what do you recommend to start with? And I think that'll be my last question on your Segway weapons. Do we start with food, movement, sleep, or all three together?
I think it's actually, you can start anywhere, but I think each element is so easy to start. So food, you don't have to change your diet. If I said, what's the easiest start? I would say remove sugar from your diet for 30 days. That's a start point. That's a very simple start point. So anytime you have anything in front of you that is processed sugar or quite obvious sugar, not hidden sugar, just take it out of your diet. If you did that for 30 days, you have started, and you will get dramatic results just by removing sugar. And then you can go the next step and the next step. If it's movement, it could be as simple as, we have a technique called 60 and 60, which is a cool technique, which we're right in the middle of a challenge with the guys doing. The 60 and 60 is very simple. The guys in the group on the challenge at the moment, every 60 minutes in their workday, they down tools, they stand up, and they do something movement-based for 60 seconds. It could be some breathing, some stretching, something to mobilize their body for 60 seconds, sit back down and continue your day. But what it means is, for that hour, you've broken the state and you've done something in a mobility or a movement sense. So it's a really cool way of getting people started, getting their body movement. Right through to joining the gym, going for a run, going for a walk, all those things are a good start point. But movement, you could start today. And then obviously sleep. So sleep's a big one. You can change the way you sleep. You can do a sleep audit on your sleeping environment to make sure it's a good place to sleep. You can just go to bed to make sure you get 7.5 hours horizontal time each night. That's a very good start point as well. So you can start food, movement, sleep like that and get results instantly.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. What will you like to leave the audience with? Like, what will be the last big piece of advice that you like to give? And then where we can get more of you?
I think the big chunk for me is the not waiting piece. I waited far too long. I got out of shape and had a moment where I went, you know what, I need to sort myself out. What often happens with the guys is they have a health intervention. They're cruising along, they've made a bunch of money, they've got a career, they're doing well, they think they're okay. Then they have a health intervention. Something happens that throws them back 10 years, and they immediately realize they forgot to look after their wellness. So the takeaway advice is, if you're over 40-ish, if you've got a young family, and if you think you're doing all the right things, make sure that one of those things is prioritizing your wellness. Don't wait until you turn around at 50 odd and go, oops, what happened? Start looking after your wellness now before it bites you in the bum and before you've gone too far to come backwards.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. So where can we find you?
Best place, and what I'd love to encourage the guys to do, is come and join the group. It's a free Facebook group. There is nothing to pay. There is no products, no programs. We don't sell anything. It's a Facebook group. It's called Ditch the Dad Bod. So if you just search in Facebook under groups, Ditch the Dad Bod, you'll find the Facebook group. We're on Instagram as well, so you can jump on there. But Ditch the Dad Bod is the name of the group. Come and join the group. Jump in, have a look. Don't say anything for the first 30 days like blokes do. Just wait, have a watch, and then be part of the tribe and get some great advice and motivation and change your life and enjoy a long life with your family and friends.
Awesome. Excellent. I'll put all of this in the show notes. Thank you so much, Mike. I think it was we've had that topic over and over on the podcast, but I think the repetition is important, right? Isn't the repetition of looking after ourselves in nutrition, in health, in the sleep. I think if we hear it enough, we're actually going to start implementing it.
Absolutely. If we can save some lives and change some minds, that'd be great.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Julian. Goodbye.